Are we live? Live action? What's going on? It's Talking Giants, day 3 from training camp. I know we're live, but until I see us pop up on the screen, I don't truly believe.
We don't believe it.
Truly don't believe we're live.
We just don't believe it
until we're actually.
We've been fooled before, and
I
think
and
we
we're
are.
live. There
wow, look at that.
There goes the ad. All right, day 3 of training camp, New York Giants. We've got a lot of notes, but the big theme of the day, we're working on 3rd and long. Brian Dable said, we're going to work on 3rd and longs.
It was split into 2. The practice was split into 2. 3rd and longs, and then the second half of the practice, they were working 1st and 10.
Right. So Brian Dable on his presser this morning, 3rd and longs, we want to put the offense in stressful situations, and, well, the offense looks stressed. Wink Martindale on the defense is obviously the theme of the day. I mean, he was throwing his blitzes out there, throwing different personnel packages, which we'll break that all down. But the defense clearly won. And, I have Daniel Jones today at 15 to 22 with a drop and then the interception to Darnay Holmes. But a lot of those plays would have been sacks. There was the offensive line, and John Feliciano was out with some hydration issues. So Jamil Douglas, who was working as the starting center. None of us really saw that coming before camp. No. And they just struggled to pick up blocks. Like Jamil Douglas, Dexter Lawrence got him a couple times, looked really good. And just had guys, rushing free. The offensive line really struggled to pick up the blitzes, which for the defensive side is very exciting because they're going to be throwing some exotic looks and they're going to really force offense's hands. On the offensive side, obviously, they need to clean that up and get that stuff right.
All right, so you got some good analysis there to start. So I will thank Bareburger. I will be the one to thank Bareburger as more people come in. Thank you to Bareburger. They have sent us the Giants training camp. They are sponsoring our training camp coverage. I threw that word out there today. We're doing it our way. We cover training camp our way and the way that we do. So thank you to Bareburger. Thank you to everybody who's been following this week as well. Hopefully we'll have a live stream tomorrow as well. Back together Saturday. I'm not expecting a huge extravagant practice tomorrow, but you're definitely right when saying that Wink Martindale brought the business today. We've been kind of waiting on that. It's funny, we were saying heading into today and stemming from yesterday's show, we were saying we haven't talked about the defense much or even at all. We have barely talked about the defense. Well, ask and you shall receive. Most of our notes are defensive notes today. You said Daniel Jones was 15 for 22, and it's really tough to take into account a quarterback's completions and attempts in training camp as a display of if they have a good day or a bad day. I thought Daniel Jones and the offense had kind of a bad day.
Yes, absolutely. The offense had a bad day. They did not look good.
No, was not crisp.
And again, that's why the completion versus incompletions doesn't really work on a day like this because there would have been plenty of sacks. And on those plays where there were sacks, well, there's no sack, but they blitz, so there's less guys in coverage. So it means when they do throw the ball, a guy's going to have a better chance at being open.
Yeah.
So it was definitely an ugly day for the offense. In fact, the interception today to Darnay Holmes was the least of my worries for the offense today. That was, it almost looked like the defense knew what that play was. It was a screen. Jones threw it. Darnay jumped it. That play was the least of my worries. My worries was, one, Daniel Jones had one overthrow while evading pressure and hit the top of Xavier McKinney hit the top of his tipped his hands, and they just were late on a lot of stuff. But the defense, Wink Martindale. But I also want to give the defense its credit, too.
They forced the offense to really get on their heels today. Whereas the first 2 days of camp, it was we were kind of saying, Wink really hasn't done that much. We were also talking about, too, how everything is kind of scripted. The coaches come together, how, hey, we're going to call this, you're going to call this. We're going to try and get as much as we can out of each other's units and stuff like that. You're saying that, I'm not really worried about that screen pass, that you think that the defense, Darnay Holmes, that they knew it was coming. And that probably is definitely true. The Giants offense has run that little screenplay a ton throughout the first 2 days. So Darnay Holmes, seeing it a bunch of times, jumped it. But I will say, there's nuance to everything, right? Daniel Jones has had some issues. I think one of the worst interceptions that he has ever had, it either came against Tampa Bay or Kansas City, where it was this screen that he was just staring somebody down, and he threw it to just a different color jersey.
That was Tampa. But the difference between that screen was Jones holding. This was a bubble screen where
it happened right away.
You catch the snap and just throw the bubble. So,
yeah. We'll get how about we do an injury report at the top?
Yeah.
Because somebody asked me about Darian Beavers, and he was one of the players that did not practice today. So Giants players that were not practicing today. John Feliciano, he was out with dehydration issues, Brian Dable said. So it was interesting to see Ben Bredesen and Jamil Douglas get snaps at center. Both of them had bad snaps today. Jamil Douglas, I think, was first with the bad snap in team period, and then Ben Bredesen had a few bad snaps, a couple plays in a row, which caused me to yell, get the snap straight in the middle of practice, like I'm a coach. So Feliciano, Darian Beavers did not practice. Ricky Seals-Jones did not practice, which we were talking about yesterday, how we barely saw Ricky Seals-Jones. Maybe that's why. Yeah. Maybe he's going through something. Jordan Akins was out there, but I guess he didn't practice. And then defensive lineman Nick Williams, who we just got, all not practicing.
Yeah, so Blake Martinez, though, you mentioned Darian Beavers.
Yes.
Blake Martinez was running with the ones a little bit, too.
Yeah, he was back in team periods. So the thing with Martinez is that he's been out there, and it's been cool to see him out there, but he was only running individual stuff. And he was talking to the media, and he said, I'm just going to listen to the training staff, and they're going to progress me along. Well, they've progressed him along quite well and quite nicely because he's already out there running some team period stuff.
Want to let the chat know that for these live streams, kind of hold on to some of your – if you have comments, leave them, but hold on. If you have some question you deeply want to answer, wait till the last 10 minutes or so.
Luke is willing to hook me up with some Rutgers merch. So
because I see some good questions in there that I want to answer. But,
yes.
We're going to go through our notes
It is
first.
totally okay to ask the question again. Do not spam us, but totally okay to ask it again when we get to questions.
Yeah. All right, so but – part of it was when they went through their jog-through period to start practice, and we knew it was going to be a third and long day.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, Wink Martin, like it was already like Wink Martindale's bringing the house today. Mm-hmm. And what we saw the most of was those 3 edge players with Kayvon, Jahab Ward.
I have it written down.
And other players. They rotated O'Shane and Quincy Roche.
So here's a tandem and a crew that I saw often that I think we are going to see often throughout the regular season. One defensive lineman on the field, Leonard Williams. That was it. And that happened a decent amount this practice where there was only one defensive lineman on the field. And I do think that's the reason why I only think 4 are going to make the roster, because they're not going to run like these 3 defensive lineman sets that Patrick Graham did. They're not going to rely on these interior guys. So that's why I think only 4 are going to make the roster. So Leonard Williams was one. They had 4 linebackers, 3 edge rushers, 1 interior guy. Kayvon, Quincy Roche, Jahad Ward. Replace one of the other 2 with Azeez Ojulari. Tay Crowder was the interior linebacker. Replace him with Blake Martinez. Dane Belton, Xavier McKinney, Julian Love. Dane Belton was playing a lot of deep center field.
Yeah,
safety.
that's what I want to talk about is for a big – when they were running those things and those type of blitzes, they had Dane Belton playing center field. So, they're set up to run some type of cover 1, cover 3. If they didn't blitz, like it's a cover 1, cover 3 look, then they'd have Dane Belton deep, which was a question we had coming into training camp is how do they use Dane Belton? How do they use these safeties when they're all 3 together on the field? Because they're all very versatile. Dane Belton played the star position for Iowa. Julian Love has moved all over the place in his NFL career, and McKinney, not so much in the NFL, but at Alabama was also used pretty versatile. And different types of ways. So Dane Belton was the deep guy. Julian Love was playing in the box.
Which we haven't seen that consistently since 2019 when he took over for Jabril Peppers, and that's when Julian Love looked his best.
And then McKinney was split with the wide receiver, sometimes in the box, sometimes just playing straight up nickel corner,
Him
which
and
he
Love,
did a little bit.
What happened a few times during today's practice is Xavier McKinney and Julian Love came in on blitzes, both of them at the same time.
And many of times untouched.
Yes.
Untouched, and that's, again, things to get excited about with Wink Martindale. And, with the way this defense is going to go, this secondary is an issue. But this defense is going to try and make plays. They're not going to coach scared.
No.
So I think there's going to be some really bad moments for this defense, but there'll also be some, good moments like we saw today. So it'd just be interesting to see how well the back end holds up against that when you're playing some of the better quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yep.
Or if you get, you run into a good O-line who just is great at picking that type of stuff up. So Wink Martindale definitely was the star. Wink Martindale was the star of the day. And then for the 3rd day in a row with the defense, Darnay Holmes gets an interception.
Another play. Yep.
I mean, he just the snap. They snapped the ball and boom. They were blitzing. McKinney blitzed, Love blitzed, I think, on that play too. And they run a bubble and just Darnay undercuts it and it would have been a touchdown. That would have been 6 points for the New York Giants if that happened in a game because there was nobody catching him. The other 2 wide receivers went out to block. So Darnay Holmes has been he hasn't been perfect during this camp, but he's looked pretty damn good, man. And that was a position battle between Darnay Holmes and Cordell Flott.
It doesn't even seem like it's a position battle.
No, Darnay Holmes is going to win that job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe he'll struggle when the season starts, but it looks right now it's almost a lock that Darnay Holmes is going to be cornerback one. They're not even rotating.
Saw Khalil Dorsey getting some second team high leverage reps. I believe he was in the slot too. He's a shorter cornerback, so I can imagine they're throwing him in the slot. But I've been trying to find Cordell Flott, and I've been trying to find him to see if he's making some plays. Where is he lining up? What team is he lining up? And it's been kind of tough. Khalil Dorsey stood out to me more today than Cordell Flott did, and that's not necessarily saying that Cordell Flott had a bad practice. I just didn't see him. So
yeah, I didn't notice Cordell Flott.
Yeah, I tried following the secondary. I saw Yusuf Corker made a play in the back part of the end zone.
I think it was one of the last plays of the day. Tyrod Taylor threw a
CJ Board.
a 55-yard, 60-yard pass into the end zone, and it kind of fluttered a little bit towards the end. And Yusuf Corker, he's dropped the interception. It should have been an interception, but Yusuf Corker got his hands on that. And those are the type of plays where there's a battle for the fourth safety. Those are the type of plays that can get you ahead. So I really would like him to catch that, but again, that's better than getting beat for that play.
Yeah. Trenton Thompson also had a pass deflection in the back corner and the back part of the end zone too, and he came up limping. I'm like, oh look, that's Trenton Thompson, a guy that I was excited to watch during training camp, and he came up limping. So I was like, oh, shit.
Other notes on the defense.
Shit.
Before we get to some Kayvon stuff, which was fun.
Oh, wait.
Xavier McKinney has the green dot.
Yes.
Xavier McKinney is running the green dot. I don't know exactly how much of they did it today, but Brian Dable in his press conference said yesterday that they did some plays where Daniel Jones on the offense and Xavier McKinney on the defense, where they were the ones making the play calls, and they cut out the mics of Wink Martindale and Mike Kafka to simulate if there's an issue in game like there was last year.
With Joe Judge, and he complained,
So getting ready for that. And Brian Dable actually had an interesting comment. It's I asked him what those guys thought of the plays. And it's if it did good, they liked it. If it didn't, but it was he's Xavier McKinney felt good. He was very confident in the play calls that he was making. So
did you
and there was a note that Xavier McKinney told today to the press. He's had talked with Eric Weddle a lot this offseason, who obviously ran the Wink Martindale offense. So Eric Weddle is he's a football guy's football guy.
Yeah, he is. He is. Did you mention that is Blake Martinez also wearing that green dot when he's making the calls up front, and then Xavier McKinney is making the calls on the back end? I know that's something that Graham did.
I don't think so because only one guy can have the green dot.
Oh.
On the field at the same time.
Okay. All right. Got it.
So that was something that when we talked with Ken McCusick of Film Study Ravens, he's he will give a safety the green dot. He's not afraid to do
Xavier
that.
McKinney.
So it looks like Xavier McKinney is really, taking a leadership role on this Giants defense.
Let's do it.
Other defensive notes. Kayvon Thibodeau, man, he looks good. He really does. And he had probably my favorite just rep of the day, more than the Darnay Holmes interception, more than anything, was – he worked outside in on Andrew Thomas so quickly. I mean, and it wasn't like Andrew Thomas was totally out of place. It was just he got in the punch of Andrew Thomas's hands, jacked it up with the left hand, and then ripped through, and just it was so quick, Yeah,
it looked effortless.
Just outside in, super quick, and that's something when you go through the training camp, mind game of okay, are we more worried about the bad play on one side or the good play on the other side? Well, we know Andrew Thomas is good, so I'm very excited about the Kayvon Thibodeau part of that.
Yeah, and we know that Andrew Thomas has worked on, I think exactly that, right? That was part of his rookie year struggles that I think he really got better with is guys going outside to inside or just facing inside moves in general. So we know Andrew Thomas is very aware that he has struggled with that. But Kayvon, man, really – I watched it. We tweeted it out at the same time. I don't even think we said anything to each other, but we just tweeted it out at the same time. I love that we had that. We have that. We're in sync like that. But it just looks so effortless. It didn't even look like he was trying. Usually, you have guys that try to juke, they try to fake the head's bobbing a lot.
It was just clean,
this was just so clean. It didn't even look like he was touching Andrew Thomas, where he was just manipulating whatever he wanted to do and doing whatever he wanted to do. So it probably would have been a sack. I wasn't really paying attention if it was going to be a sack, but. Really mesmerized with that move, and that was really the first time that I saw Kayvon Thibodeau have a really cool rep, mostly because they don't have pads on, so I'm not paying that much attention to it, but that really did stick out.
I need a Kayvon Thibodeau sack in preseason. It's going to get me so freaking amped up. I really, really need that because he's fun to watch, man. He is quick, and I'm excited for him. That was the most audibly I reacted to a play today.
Yes,
and it wasn't even super noticeable. If you were just watching the ball or watching
it wasn't
like see it, but it was just bam, Kayvon. I was like,
yeah.
I said to the kid, I didn't even know the kid next to me. I was like, Kayvon just worked Andrew Thomas inside on that.
And we had our John Boy Media guy that was like, Kayvon. It wasn't like a play where everybody saw it and the fans went ooh and ah over it, but that was the play, even more than the Darnay Holmes play. That is the play that stuck. It's probably the play that stuck out to me the most about camp so far.
Yeah. So, theme of the day was Wink Martindale was in his bag. Lots of free rushers.
The offense was in their bag because of Wink Martindale. Like in your bag means you're emotional and you're upset.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
When Kyrie dribbles, that's in his bag.
Oh, well, I think that your sports phrase.
I can't believe the 30-year-old's explaining this to you.
I'm in my bag because I got in my bag wrong.
Bag is your what you have. It's this is what I have in my bag. Steph Curry has the pull-up 3 in his bag.
I think we're thinking of two different phrases.
So I'm thinking of what in his bag means. You're thinking of something different. So before we move over to the offense and answer some questions, why don't you read an ad from Bareburger?
Bareburger. Something for everyone. Yes, even you. You, who you're watching this, you're listening to us. Bareburger has something for you. Kitchen and bar. All over the place. Located in Montclair, New Jersey. I believe there's one in Hoboken if you're a Hoboken person. Westfield, that's closest to me. New York City, all over the place, and in Brooklyn if you're a Brooklyn guy or gal.
People are saying we're both right.
Yes, we're a burger
If we're
joint.
both right, that means I'm wrong because I was so with anger no, you're wrong about this.
But Bareburger doesn't get bogged down by the labels, and they don't really care what in your bag means because they make burgers and they make them very
Get a burger in your bag.
Their menu is filled with options for everyone, regardless of dietary preferences, whether you're 100% vegan or you think ketchup is a vegetable. Who thinks that? At Bareburger, there's only one dietary restriction. You'll be limited to food that's made to taste great. Bareburger Kitchen and Bar, it's the best in New York City, 12 to 7 p.m., Monday to Friday. So what? Today's Friday?
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like a Friday for us. It feels like a Wednesday.
Today is a Friday. You have 5 hours left of happy hour. We are 2 hours in. You have 5 hours left. So go check out Bareburger. Elk burgers, ostrich burgers, bison burgers. They also have your conventional burgers too. But get a little crazy this Friday night and this weekend and go check out Bareburger. Click the link in our description to find yourself at your new favorite happy hour spot, burger joint and luncheon, Bareburger Kitchen and Bar. They are sponsoring our training camp series. Thank you to Bareburger.
All right, let's talk about the offense. It just didn't they had some bad plays. They didn't have any really good plays. The best throw of the day was by Tyrod Taylor, who had C.J. Board open down
Board,
deep,
terrible day,
and just throws a beautiful ball. And it was actually it was a similar situation to the Slayton versus Washington, where it was just they alligator armed it, and it would have been the best play of the day, but C.J. Board wasn't able to catch it. Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor both had times where there was Jones had Wandale on a seam, and it's man, that could have been a big play. He didn't see it. It's I don't care that you completed this. That could have been a big chunk play. So Jones was late on some stuff and the sacks. It just looked like a very sloppy day from basically everybody on the offense except for maybe Kenny Golladay and Tony. The receivers, they didn't have any issues. The main receivers didn't really have any issues today.
C.J. Board, bad day. 2 bad drops. That increases the stock of Richie James. Richie James, baby. I think Joan. I would say this is the worst that Jones has looked.
He looked fine the first 2 days. Today he looked bad.
Yeah, there have been some beat reporters that have said the offenses look sloppy the first 2 days, which sure, I guess.
I thought day 1 they looked really good in the
There's a lot of it's situational stuff, so it's tougher to judge. Whereas today, yes, they look sloppy. There was bad snaps, guys were false starts all the time, taking sacks, holding the ball too long, and Daniel Jones missing some guys down the field. So yes. Can I during individuals, not necessarily just teams? What was very very fun for me is we saw push pass push passes. All the times that we watch those Kansas City Chiefs games and we're saying that shouldn't be counted as a touchdown for Tyreek Hill because that was basically a handoff attempt. Well, if you're looking for some red zone plays.
Patrick Mahomes.
Who did I say?
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill. Well, no, Tyreek Hill gets the.
But you were saying it shouldn't count for a touchdown.
It shouldn't. Well, no, it shouldn't count as a passing attempt. Excuse me. So when Patrick Mahomes takes the snap, basically, he just pats it in front, just pushes, push pass on Tyreek Hill, who's going in motion at the snap on like this sweep. Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney were running those today during individuals. So they didn't do it during teams, at least not yet, but they were running those in individuals, which is cool. You
know what they did do in team that I like that played off of that is Richie James was in motion for the push pass, and they're looking, they've got guys in the A gap. It looks like it's going to be a blitz, and as he's motioning in front of the QB, he does this like he's going to catch it. So try and force the defense to either jump off sides or show their hand a little bit. So I like that they played off of that. Other things on the offense. Yeah, I mean, the first team and second, I mean, they were checking down a little bit. I will note, I did take a note of, like, blocking tight ends were getting all the run, but then you see Seals, Jones, and Akins weren't there.
Well, Well, even there isn't very set. Like, Daniel Bellinger is not always tight end one. He is mostly tight end one, but he is not always tight end one.
Chris Myrick got some reps.
Chris Myrick, like, remember I was talking about Andre
Miller? They did some two tight ends
Miller?
with Austin Allen.
Yeah, I really think that today was an Austin Allen day. They are really rotating all these tight ends in, because if there is one battle that I think is very, very wide open, I think it is tight end. Just because I don't know if they're confident in anybody.
I do. It might be wide open, but I think Bellinger, I'm pretty confident Bellinger will come away with it.
But I think the rest of the spots, it's fair to say that they are wide open.
I will say tight end 2 and tight end 3 is wide open.
Yeah.
Like, if Ricky – okay, would I be shocked if Seals Jones is not on the team and Austin Allen or Chris Myrick are? No, I wouldn't.
No.
Or you fill in the blanks with Jordan Akins.
They also have enough wide receivers where I feel like if you really want – what is the real advantage – now, you may disagree with me here, but what's the real advantage of having Ricky Seals-Jones out there flanked out wide? You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah.
What's the real advantage? If you feel like somebody else is going to fill that spot better, and especially if they can block, and Ricky Seals-Jones cannot, then let's give that spot to somebody else. But long camp.
Speaking of giving spots to other people, I think Max Garcia or somebody else should be the backup center over Jameel Douglas. He did not look very good today.
No. They're not. Max Garcia hasn't really been getting snaps at center. We haven't seen that. At least I don't think.
But I think someone besides Jameel Douglas should be doing that. You mentioned Andre Miller. He had a really nice, tough catch I saw.
Yes, on the sideline.
Let's see. We'll answer questions here in a second, so you guys can get rolling with those. Let's see. I got Tyrod duck interception, drop by Yusuf Corker. Couple missed opportunities deep, blocking tight ends, getting the run.
I did see for the first time today, since they were working on 1st and 10 and third and long stuff, I did see for the first time today more deep concepts being run, and they're playing off of each other, so it opens up the intermediate part of the field and the checkdowns. Where I saw that in effect today, like Kenny Golladay running a crosser. You have another wide receiver on the outside who's running a post, and then that opens up stuff that's underneath for that check down or something in the intermediate part of the field. I did see that for like the first time today.
I like it. All right,
no taping. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, we broke the
rules. 'Cause that's what we do.
It was weirdly honestly, at one point it felt like we were having the exception of being allowed to tape because we had Ryan with us who's
we were being smart.
But he wasn't. He was just like standing up holding his phone.
Yeah.
And they were yelling at people like 2 rows in front of him. I mean, they were
yelling with like parents with kids. Like there were people that were simply just trying to even take pictures, and they weren't even allowing pictures.
Yeah,
the
sign
said no videos.
There was I mean, they were like acting like fun Nazis out there. It was pretty brutal.
It was not.
One guy in particular, and then there was another guy who wasn't like part of the security team, but he's on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, just one of the funniest parts.
He screamed at somebody.
There was this older guy who was not doing content. He was just there, like trying to, enjoy a Giants practice, and he is screaming at him at the top of his lungs. Yeah. Everybody hears this. Nobody notices this, and the guy is just like this, and the guy just screaming at him, and he's like this, and then finally he puts his phone down, and the guy like said something to him, and he does a.
What?
like just a G move of like, I can't hear you.
That's funny.
So we'll get into it. Wes Locke said, prior to camp, Hall seemed like a lock if they carry a fullback H-back. Do you think Andre Miller could push Hall for that roster spot? We need to see Andre Miller block. Hall actually did get some run today for the first time.
But with the third team.
Yeah, but I'm not judging Hall off of these practices. When if they get in goal line, if they're practicing, I don't know. We'll wait till the pads are on, but I do still think confident like they want to keep a Jeremiah Hall guy on the roster. Let's see, Andrew Adams for president.
We talked about Flott a little earlier. If you're wondering about Cordell Flott, like TBD, like that's Cordell Flott. Darnay Holmes.
Hey, Bareburger's in the chat. Bareburger.
Whoa, hey, no screaming.
Will Roche get cut? No, Roche moved up the depth chart a little bit today. He was getting some run with the first team.
I think they're rotating these guys. I know obviously we're saying that this guy was running with the first team, this guy was running with the second team. Based on getting worried. Like I didn't even.
But they're not really rotating any other positions like that besides tight end.
But yeah, so well that tells you that I think there may be a little bit of a competition. I think Jahad Ward is 100% safe because I think remember how you questioned me when I suggested that Jahad Ward could be the vocal leader of the edge room, how he's the veteran. You're like, who's going to listen to Jahad Ward? And I kind of agreed with you, but I said that's what's just going to have to happen.
Bareburger asked, how was it today? It was like a Bareburger. Good. Really good.
Wow.
When they had three safeties, where was everyone lined up? We did talk about this earlier, but I will answer it quickly. They had Julian Love just flat out in the box, McKinney kind of splitting between the box and the nickel corner, sometimes, playing deep and then buzzing down at the pre-snap. And then Dane Belton was solely just the center field deep safety.
Which we didn't really see him do that a lot at Iowa.
No, he mostly played like that more nickel spot.
Yeah.
Like the
or
spot that
the
Xavier McKinney was playing.
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. Amazing guy says training camp means nothing right now, too early in new systems. But I bet you if the offense was doing amazing guy wouldn't say that.
Yeah, amazing guy. I guarantee you were in our streams the first 2 days when we were praising the offense, being like, "Oh wow, this is great." No, that's nothing against you, but it's just the way that it goes.
Let's see, what other questions do we got?
Bareburger actually asked, how did Saquon look? How did Saquads look? I kind of want to bring up something. I don't think Saquon Barkley catches the ball great. Like he had that, he had a one-handed catch in the end zone yesterday that the Giants social media team puts out. But this was even like last year. He had a little bit of a drop problem last year, and he is not like safely catching the football in training camp. There's a lot of bobbled passes, and we're not talking about stuff that's down the field. We're talking about stuff that's like checkdowns and in the flat. And I mean, if you bobble stuff, you're losing a half a second, and millisecond of that is extra that you can actually get going and get some sort of yards after contact, yards after the catch. So, catch the ball, Saquon. That's my thing.
Sage Safate actually asked a good question. What's the schedule for the stream every weekday at 2 p.m.? No, it's sometime between 1:30 and 3:30 every day. It depends. Like today, we came home from practice or came to the warehouse from practice, got this stuff ready, scheduled it. But yesterday we had to do we had to do an interview, and I had to do the bleacher. So it will vary a little bit, but usually between 1:30 and 3:30 every day.
Mid-afternoon-ish, because it depends. Sometimes we're interviewing beat reporters too, and we like to do that at the stadium. So that's that.
How hyped were you all this time last year for real? Just want to set expectations from camp. I can't remember, but
we were hyped because we didn't see it. Zach Rosenblatt came on after the New England practices and really gave us the reality check that he just didn't think the offense was going to be good. And he was right. Everybody ripped him for that. I remember that. So that's why I do think training camp, after you have a month sample size, after you have like a couple weeks sample size of what we're watching, what we're seeing, we'll be able to get a good idea for this year. But last year we were excited just because there was excitement with the Giants, and I won't apologize for that. So,
Giants fan services says, please refrain from filming practice. I'm going to tell you to refrain from sending fake emails. How did Evan Neal look? I didn't notice him much, so I would guess that's good. Most of the pressure was coming from the inside.
Yeah.
Like it was not even just like losing blocks, which they did too, but like just free rushers coming. Like they had a hard time. And actually, that was one thing I forgot to mention about the defense, something I really like from Wink Martindale, and we'll close out here in a couple minutes, is just simple stuff like they had one linebacker in the A-gap, and one playing at about 3-4 yards of depth, bam, you pop the A-gap guy out, the one who's playing it from depth comes in, and it became a free rusher, So they're setting, towards the mic, and it's like, okay, the mic pops out, this guy jumps in. So some good stuff there.
Evan Neal's huge, though. I mean, I actually felt bad that I know Chris the Entertainer talked a lot about that yesterday, but he is huge. Like, he even stands next to Andrew Thomas, and Evan Neal is like vastly bigger than him. It's insane.
All right, let's get a couple more questions, and then we'll roll for the day. Sorry to ask again, says the Giant Take. As our guys, don't be sorry. I know Darnay Holmes has had an interception each day at camp. Am I getting too excited about him, or is he looking really good out there? He is looking really good out there. I don't think you should be like, Darnay Holmes is going to be a top-tier corner in the NFL this year, but he's stepped up to the challenge of having a guy drafted at his position 2 years in a row.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think something that you can take from camp and just seeing Darnay Holmes making these plays every single day so far, I think it just looks comfortable. Which I think that is a huge plus, and that is a huge positive coming out of this first week. That Darnay Holmes, in a secondary where we're really questioning the fit of some of these guys, Darnay Holmes is playing fast, he's playing confident, he's playing comfortable out there, and I think that is a huge positive.
Yeah, and that's the thing that with Wink Martindale, where with Patrick Graham, it's like, all right, if this wide receiver does this, that you do that, or With Wink, it's a lot more like this is what you're doing on this play.
Yep.
You're stick with this guy, work inside leverage versus him. There's definitely going to be some complexity to it, but nothing crazy. Let's see. Rafael, is there practice tomorrow? Yes, it's the back together set. It's going to be packed tomorrow. If you were playing, actually, I'm going to save that because I want to get ourselves in.
Anyways, come on. We get there at 8 a.m. every day. Anyone seen Darius Slayton? Didn't see much of Darius Slayton today. That means he didn't drop anything.
Yeah, no drops for Darius Slayton today. That's a win. That Edwin brings up something that I forgot to write down in my notes. Josh Azudu in walkthrough period with, just practicing versus air with their helmets off, he was getting some reps at tackle again. Yep. So, he didn't do that in any team period. So, we'll see if that's really truly like they're in case of emergency. If Thomas or Neal go down, that's going to be an interesting dynamic. And we'll see if they give him any reps of that in preseason. But I hope it's just a car. So do you have anything else before we close out?
No. Practice tomorrow, back together Saturday. It is going to be packed. They open up the gates at 9 a.m. People really start to kind of pack in and pile in at 8 a.m. That's when the parking lots open. But they do open the parking lots earlier if you really want to get there. So, there's a Kadarius Toney interview.
I got to go get off this and clip it.
We got to go. But no, thanks to everybody for following this first week. Hopefully the practice is somewhat of a practice tomorrow so we can go live and we can do this again. But if not,
we'll have Danny King with us tomorrow, too.
We will have Danny King. So we probably will go live anyway, even if there's not much.
We're going live.
We got
Danny King with us.
Danny King will give us his perspective, and we'll have some fun with it.
So we're live tomorrow, PPP with Kadarius Toney on Monday, and then live streams, podcasts every single day of the week. We appreciate you guys. See you on the next one. Until then, let's go Big Blue. Kadarius Toney interview. I got to go cut it up right now.